A very warm welcome. I hope all of you had a sumptuous lunch. So, yet another very relevant technology topic we are going to discuss in track 1 event here. So, we have a very eminent speaker, CA Aparna Rao, with us. I'll briefly introduce her before handing over the session. So, the topic for today is GenAI and automation in business processes. How to audit the invisible work. So in the first session, we spoke about how man in the middle, man on the middle, all that phrases we were going through. So we are going to talk about how without man in the loop, we are going to audit AI. So Aparna Rao is a CISO and Head of Operations of Tiny Magiq Innovations Private Limited. Aparna Rao is a chartered accountant, CISA, DISA professional with 35 years of experience across capital market, risk-based audits, data strategy, and AI. Today, Aparna is CISO and Head of Operations of Tiny Magiq Innovations Private Limited, a GenAI first organization focused on frugal innovations. She works in the field of AI with a focus on responsible AI, helping global enterprises and professionals from CXOs to new graduates understand how to imaginer with AI effectively and with awareness. Her programs and advisory work combine strategy, technology, and human insights to build AI literacy. Having completed AICA Level 2, she is now faculty at AICA by CA Institute, ICAI, delivering sessions across southern region. She began a career in capital markets, building a strong foundation in operational systems and governance that led her to co-found and lead an all-women chartered accountancy practice for over 7 years. After a first career break, Aparna joined ING Vysya Bank, now Kotak Mahindra Bank, internal audit team, where she contributed to the bank's early adoption of risk-based audit practices, a major shift in how banks managed assurance and controls. She then transitioned to strategic information management with data warehouse division of Standard Chartered Bank, handling wholesale banking for risk management CRM across 40 countries. This marked a pivot from risk-based audit to data-driven decision-making and digital transformation. Having navigated 3 major career breaks and returned each time to more challenging and future-facing roles, Aparna also serves as a career comeback advisor, guiding others who seek to restart or reinvent their professional journeys. She believes in future of AI is not about replacing people, but about amplifying human capabilities by empowering organizations and individuals to grow responsibly, confidently, and with purpose. So I think we have the right person for the right topic. With no further delay, I hand over the session to Ms. Aparna. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Deepika. Thank you so much. If you think I have the answers today, I don't think so. We are at, very beautifully titled, at an inflection point. The world today is at an inflection point. So I'm probably going to go back with more questions after this I hope to have an interactive debate here with all of you. And I'm thinking and believing that we will go back with more answers. That is going to lead us closer to clarity. Okay? So, where do we begin? 1 second. I have a question for everyone, please. When was the last time I like this title. When was the last time in your organization in the last few months? I hope I'm audible right at the end. Yeah? You have had the opportunity to, where a human being has had a decision making, or where systems, I would say, in which situations in your organization in the last few months would you raise your hand and say, completely system driven? No human in the loop there. Is there a possibility? Anyone seen anything like that? Internal audit comes, and I'm assuming all of you are either governance, internal audit, risk professionals, right? And when do we come into the picture in any organization? At the very start, when the models are built? When are we even thought of? When do they reach out to us?
Post there's an issue.
Post?
There's an issue.
When there is an issue, right. And other times, when an audit needs to be done, mandatory audits need to be done. Nobody loves us, right? They don't like us. We don't bring in business. We are here to only come into the picture and say this is not okay and that's not okay. When any business starts on a new project, do they bring an internal audit? At any point in time, have you been consulted? I am associated with the Institute of Internal Audit right since I was a kid. Oh, you qualified pretty early? No, my dad. My dad used to receive IIA magazine those days. I don't know, now it's all completely digital, I guess. Is it? I remember as a child reading the book. The magazine used to come home. The first page had the cartoon. Very interesting. So I grew up understanding what internal audit is. So it's very close to my heart. It's actually an emotion. So the first thought for me is wherever I am, I only look at the process. I walk into the hotel, what is the process happening? When I look at a check-in somewhere, I see how the process is. When I walk into the cricket stadium, I think, oh, is this the process? How can we make this better? No, it's there ingrained in me. But then the world, which is now at an inflection point today, do we even know where we are heading towards? As internal audit, we are almost like post-mortem, come in for the post-mortem stage, right? So what do we do? Where do we stand? But now is the opportunity for us. In fact, all the people I am now advising, especially practicing CAs, is move to wearing a consulting role. Let's not become people who come into the picture when the transaction is already done. Let us not become people who review historical transactions. Can we get into the picture pretty early? Can we flag much early? Now, by the way, one more question I have. How many of you have an inventory in the organizations where you are part of the internal audit team? Where all is AI being used? Where is artificial intelligence? On what extent are they using? Where are they using? Is the risk profiling happening? Would any of you know? Raise your hand and say, yes, I have an inventory. Doesn't mean that the inventory is up to date. Is there an inventory in the first place? A smile says it all. Is that why you're smiling? Or
inventory of systems or inventory of
systems you will have. We will have. I'm saying wherever there is a reference or when AI is being relied upon heavily, say crafting contracts. I'm just picking up at the top of my head. Contracts are being created completely with the help of AI. Do you know or you don't know? Or if the contracts are being vetted, do you know or you don't know? You know. How do you know that's being done? Because you're doing it yourself. If you are part of the internal audit team, if you are outside the environment, you are the internal. Like you have an inventory of systems. Where is internal audit? Where is AI being used? How do you know it's correct? First, let's begin with the inventory, right? Okay, I forgot to start with the presentation. Before we go that, auditing invisible work. Post-lunch, so I'll have to wake all of you up. What is invisible work? What comes to your mind? There's no right answer, wrong answer. By the way, all of us are at a point when we don't have any definition for anything. For as simple as agentic, agents, there are multiple definitions floating around. Okay? So, what comes to my mind is my answer. So, what is invisible work? This caught me thinking. Huh? Explanation. Any other thoughts? Anybody else thinks of what is invisible AI?
what are happening behind the screen?
What is happening behind the screen?
Some course which you are not.
Tell me specifically in your case, in your work environment, where you believe, I don't know, something is happening. This is very invisible for me. One process, one system, one workflow, one task.
Somebody designed an AI workflow. Coding, right? I can see the output or input, but I'm not seeing what is happening.
So in this case, is it an agentic coding that is happening or is an AI assisted coding happening? Would you know that first? No. We are still, so we know there is so many questions we need to ask behind what's going on behind. Any other invisible work that you've come across or you believe?
We had got that you brought something, and you didn't know what's, is it a human processing?
Can we be a little more specific? Say maybe the banking sector somewhere? Any particular process where there is a chatbot residing, it is giving you recommendations. Even when I go to the IRCT website, there's a chatbot recommending, I go buy something, right? Can I rely on that? Is it right? If I book a ticket and then it gets cancelled later on and it's not a right transaction, how do I know? Do I know what is behind the scene, right? So chatbots are recommending, they are coming to conclusions and then recommending to us. Systems are evaluating the vendors, a profiling of customers are happening, vendor risk management is happening internally. We don't know what's happening. Earlier what was happening, I've seen it all, from books, from physical books, I don't know how many, yes sir.
Why are we asking this in an AI context? Even in a non-AI scenario, a lot of things happening behind the scenes, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Let's take an underwriting process in a bank. There are so many business.
We'll pick one case and then say this is still happening. That's before AI also. There's.
Yeah, take any automated process. Let's take underwriting. Bank. A lot of underwriting rules, logic is built into an engine, which takes a lot of data and gives a credit decision, which the credit underwriter relies upon for making the decision. So why are we looking at AI differently? Is my first question.
Okay. Very good question. Underwriting, you look at, see there is AI. Fundamentally, I'll first give a how many of you know the difference between AI and GenAI? Would you want to take a shot at it? What is AI and what is the difference between AI and generative AI? That's your question basically. That's fundamental question that you're raising here.
In a non-AI scenario also, there are a lot of things happening invisibly. Isn't it? So why is this question specifically posed in an AI scenario?
Okay, let's take an undertaking example itself.
Underwriting, yeah.
Underwriting example itself. So in insurance, when I am underwriting something, and then, can you see the rules? To you, it's invisible. But if you did how the whole model was built, would you be able to look at it and understand what the whole model is about? You're not a data scientist.
Yeah, I'm not a data scientist.
You're not a data scientist.
Yeah.
You don't know the statistic probability that has gone into building that model. Yes? But still, would you be able to audit it? It is completely rule-based, completely deterministic.
I'll be able to audit it.
Yes.
I will be able to audit it by passing
how?
test transactions in various scenarios. I'll be able to come to a conclusion. I will compare my conclusion to the underwriting solution to see whether it is giving the same result. I can do that I can do the same level of testing in an AI scenario also, isn't it?
You can.
Why is AI different?
Why is AI different? Yeah, because of its that begs the answer of what is the difference between AI and GenAI. See, you are able to do an audit of the model by testing it out, right? And then you can also go and check the rules. See, earlier we had a very deterministic rule-based pattern-based rules where it gave you an outcome. So that is a deterministic way which is pretty straightforward and easy. If I go and open my bank account and I choose this is the duration for which I want to invest my funds. Automatically, it's going to tell me, choose this rate of interest because this is the duration. And if my age is over so and so, if I'm a senior citizen, it's going to choose this. So this is very deterministic. It's not probabilistic. But whereas the topic here for us is agentic AI. Agentic AI. So when did AI become agentic? When generative AI came into the picture. How long has generative AI been there? It's been there quite for some time, but November 22 is when OpenAI came with a bang, okay? And the whole world took notice. Generative AI is agentic in nature. What is agentic?
The agent does the task end to end.
It takes the task end to end. It is able to take a call. It takes a decision and you don't know. For example, we could test one question. I can pick up any LLM. It could be ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever. I'll ask one question. The same Claude, you ask the same question. Your answer and I answer, it will give you in essence, but it will not be the same. Tomorrow, repeat the same question to the same model. You will get a different answer. It's not going to give you the same answer. That's because it is not deterministic. It is probabilistic.
No, but we're talking about a scenario where it is a deterministic scenario, isn't it? So
No, we
the same
don't.
underwriting solution which we talked about, if we are going to build the rules within that agent, if we're going to give the rules to that particular agent to do that underwriting task, then isn't it not deterministic?
It is not, the moment you have AI in the picture, we've moved to a probabilistic scenario. Once GenAI has come into the picture, we've moved to a very probabilistic scenario. And I can show you, I've been struggling to make one model from probabilistic to deterministic. See, this is something I've been working on for some time, very long time, to get the schema. Given a set of documents, I need to extract the schema. Okay? It's giving me multiple, each day it's giving me multiple stuff. I cannot rely on what AI is giving me completely because it is very, very probabilistic in nature. It's taking its own decisions. Okay? So that's the reason why we'll have to understand the difference. That is why we've heard the term hallucination. That's why it also hallucinates. It's the very nature. What do you mean by probabilistic?
Probabilistic means there are multiple outputs or outcomes, and it chooses what is the most ideal outcome for this particular scenario. Now, another thing I want to say, again, not related to this, is that the issue is not with AI, but with the implementation of AI.
Absolutely.
Right?
So this is the very nature of AI. I can't fight the nature of AI, right? This is how it is. And once it becomes agentic, the decision making also lies with the system. Agreed?
True, but it comes down to how you implement. Okay, let's talk about, again, we are in the policy, we are in the, again, business of governance, audit, etc. So the, again, the initial regulatory governance framework, right, for AI is ISO 42001, right, whereby responsible implementation or use of AI, right, is where upon every deterministic answer or probabilistic answer that an AI gives you, it also gives you two other things. One is an audit trail, where what is the source of truth, right? From where did I get this data source, right? Number one. Number two, what was the inference logic? Yeah. So these two, as long as it's there for any kind of output, right, you would be able to audit as to, you know, what is the reasoning behind it. It's no longer a black box. Again, when we talk about right now, the examples you gave, right, that is absolutely right. There is that level of, you know, it's an enigma in a way, right, whereby we don't understand what is happening, but that is only because the implementation, the process that is being followed is flawed as opposed to the technology itself.
It's not the technology, it's the process, like you rightly pointed out. It's the process that we are following. So now when you've chosen, the single source of truth is what you believe in, right? So now let's assume in one particular scenario, we'll continue with the underwriting scenario, okay? In underwriting scenario, how do you ensure that there is no bias? Geopolitical bias, is it there or is it not there? How do you ensure that? How do you ensure that what was there in the past, you remove it today and then tomorrow again it comes up? It's not that I build a model and I shut it, fill it. It's not fill it, shut it, forget it. I'll have to go back. And we've seen underwriting from one particular geographical situation. What has happened is in one particular region of Maharashtra, a few cases, motor claims completely fabricated. So now that brings in a red flag. So anybody and everybody who submits a claim, that it gets flagged. So now don't you think this is a case of bias? So do you remove the bias or live with the bias? Continue with it. So am I making a probabilistic model completely deterministic? Only time will tell. I still won't, when it comes to the models, when I have AI into the system, when I have an agentic AI into my system, I will have to continuously monitor. That's the only way I can do it. I have to continuously monitor the system. I'll have to look for drifts. These models are known to drift. Continuous usage. What happens? It kind of weakens the system sometimes. It overlooks. You continue trying with it. I keep every single day, whether I talk to my family member or not, I'm continuously having chats with all the models. Okay? I mean, it's very addictive. And the answer sometimes it gives, and sometimes I think about it. Given our experience, you point out something, but why did you not tell this to me before? Oh, it never occurred to me. I'll tell you one more example. Out of you would have seen since you both are raising this point, let's digress a bit, let us make this interactive and not be strictly to what I'm bringing in here. Okay, This was asked to ChatGPT latest model 5.2. My car wash is 250 meters away from home. Should I walk or should I take the car? You all have read that? So what did it say? What was the response? ChatGPT latest model 5.2. Go walk, it's only 400 meters. Right? Whereas Claude gave a better answer. So now does it mean, henceforth now I'll go to Claude? I don't know when I can rely on Claude and when ChatGPT will do a better job. There are too many ifs and buts going on today. I really don't know how we are going to be. Like you rightly said, we'll have to keep training the models again and again, but remember, how much of the decision making are we going to give to the model? That was my first question. How much of decision making still lies with the human in your organization and how much have you delegated? And if we have delegated, who is overseeing it? Where is the clear segregation of duties here? Today, ERP systems can completely look at an invoice, compare it with the GRN, look at what else do you need to, what are the documentation is required for an invoice once which comes in. People in the manufacturing industry here, can you tell me? GRN, purchase PO, then look at the invoice, then it does its own, looks at the invoice and then says, okay, this is a low risk vendor, make the payment immediately. And it auto-populates the whole thing. Is that happening in your ERP systems if it's a low risk case, or you're still doing it manually? It depends on how you've set the thresholds in your organization. It can do. Are we doing it today? It depends. That's a question we need to ask. So how much of reliance is there on the AI systems in my organization and how much of controls is there? Now because see, the decision making has also boomed to the model. It is taking its own. There are various stages. I'll walk you through this. I think I've explained to you what is deterministic and probabilistic. See, this is from this level. This is the rule-based automation in underwriting we're talking about. Underwriting specifically. This is the rule-based model. And then we've moved to this. When many of you told the AI chatbots are giving you recommendations. So let's say I open my banking app and I have about, say, a couple of lakhs lying in my bank account. The AI chatbot could say, why are you investing in fixed deposits? I would recommend a few mutual funds. Can you do that? So it's still offering assistance to me. That would be level 2. What would be a level agent? It is just telling me, do you want to consider all this? Level 3 agents. This is the agents which is so agentic. Agentic means it has its own capability. It takes its own call and comes and makes decisions for you. Agentic AI agents were still, it is still at the recommendatory phase and would tell you, you know what, these are the options, pick and choose this. What would be the agentic systems, highest level? Continuing with the same example. Probably. It will completely do it by yourself. It sees the funds in your bank account, it knows your risk profile, it knows based on your past transactions and information that you have given it, it will decide and probably put it in a high risk market today. Maybe it can push all my funds into a IT industry now. Because of past data, I said in the past, I have told the model, I want to invest in IT stocks. Today, who is investing in IT stocks? You can see that, but now the rally is picked up. But then it's sitting on what my preferences are, right? And then agentic is when it takes the decision all by itself. When money comes into the bank account, it's taken a call based on my past transactions, the recommendations, what I have given it, what information it has, and then it has moved the funds already even before I know it. Overnight it's happened. That's the level of systems where the decision making is lying with the model. So that is the audit trail that we have to really look at. It's gone, done and dusted. How many of us are already in that phase? I don't know. But this is where we are heading towards it. Whether we like it or not, this is where we are heading towards. Traditional automation, coming to your point, it's clearly rule-based, deterministic, and you know the execution, how it's going to get executed. This is very context-aware. I'm giving you the example of investment the bank makes. It's aware of the context. AI lives, thrives on the context. Given the context, it will take a call for you. I'm a senior citizen. I've given it say this is, I have very low risk appetite I have, it will automatically transfer the funds into my FD as opposed to a mutual fund or a low, mid cap or a low cap stock. Decision selection also it will do. So if you see the model risk versus the audit risk, what's the difference? Would we be called to the model risk, would we be called to audit, or would we be looking more on where do you think our focus is mostly on? We would be called sometimes, but this is where our authority lies, this is where our experience lies, and this is where we are going to be in. There's a big fundamental difference between the two, which is very important. What is the difference? Model risk, because now if you see the decision making has shifted completely to the model risk, which you and I, really not aware of. What do you think we can be doing here? How do we look at the model? Is the training data appropriate? Is it relevant? Is it biased? Privacy concerns are taken care of. Is it hallucinating? Are the statistical assumptions right? Now, based on all this, is it predicting correctly? And because based on that prediction, my agentic AI is going to take a call. What about AML transactions? What if it's a false negative? You believe that the system has allowed it. The system says, okay, fine, just pass it. This is not a real red flag. But then later on, I mean, it has happened in the past. These are the rule-based models itself, it has happened. But then, in an agentic environment, what do we do? Like I said, I've come here to raise more questions than give you answers. Because we are too early, at that very early of inflection point. What are we going to be doing? Where are we going to be heading? How much of business is going to rely and trust us on internal audits? So this is one clear case study which I thought I'll bring to your notice. This is the box here in which the transaction completely, the churning happens. You have input, multiple transactions coming in. The confidence scoring model. This is the statistical model, the AI model which is doing the complete analysis, splits it. Now to your point, is this is AI or GenAI? My focus today is on GenAI. If it is a regular AI machine learning model, I will know. But now I have embedded AI into it. I have brought in AI, generative AI into it. It takes the call here. So if you see, the focus shifts from where to where. Is there a segregation of duties here? The model does the classification, the model does its own decision making, and it says, oh, these are all low risk, forget it. I'm sorry, this is high confidence, auto post this entry. If it's low confidence, it's so good to hear from a business point of view. Everything is getting automated. Businesses is going to love this. But then from an audit perspective, what happens? Any thoughts? More questions than answers again, right? I'm also working on my organization's 42001 implementation. I'm working on the policy. I'm not able to clearly draw the line and say this is the policy. Just for the sake of getting the certification, I will do it. But I am not confident that I'm 100% I'm right here. I really don't know. I'll have to, first year I will get it implemented. Next year I'll have to do a review again. We'll have to along the way keep getting better at it. Let's get really very practical about the whole thing. And it's come to stay. It's happened. The future is already here. Whether we like it or not, let's face it. Risk scoring completely lies within the model. The transactions are coming in completely through multiple sources. Like I said, all the international banks from multiple sources, transactions are coming in here. The risk scoring happens completely AI generated. The output is coming here. What if it's a false negative? This could be a silent, quiet failure, and when there is a failure, as simple as what happened in one of the banks today. There is no AI, but still it was a fraud. Which bank was it? IDBI. IDFC, yeah. That was a clear fraud, but then it came to light, 1 year's profits wiped off. The bank's 1 year's profits wiped off. So in this case, what if it's a silent, this is exactly that it didn't get filtered. It came into the system much later. It was flagged much later after the transactions were done. What if it's a silent failure? How do you, I will do this review after the filtering happens. And again, we have the reg authorities waiting to breathe down your neck. They're going to be asking us, GDPR, DPDP. What is the risk here? I've talked enough risk. What is the next risk? The first question, very simple question I asked was straight away people who are in internal audit, do you have an inventory of where AI is being relied upon? Can we start there? For what decisions are they using it for? Is it a low risk, or will it continue to be low risk so that I don't have to worry about it? Who is using it? Where are they using it? For what purpose are they using it? Do I have an inventory? The first thing I need to do as an audit is check. And are they using, if I have an inventory, what models are they using? And why? For what purpose? Who built this? Who's the vendor? Where is the version control happening? Through the vendor? Or if it is SAP, it's happening centrally, quietly when version control is happening, pushed into the system. Do I know it as an internal auditor? Am I being flagged and told? Do I know when did it happen? Is there documentation? How many of you are at least aware or following up on what's happening as internal auditors when these updates are happening? Version control, documentation is there. What got pushed into the system? What testing was done? And service IDs is where all of them thrive, right? Service ID is where the changes happen in an ERP system. People from the ERP world, manufacturing. Anybody here from the manufacturing sector? No? Yes, sir. Service IDs? Do you have a complete list of service IDs where changes are happening? Who is giving? What are each service ID? What is the approval done? Where is the segregation of duties? What transactions are being allowed? Are we monitoring that? Or are we continuing to audit, do a post-mortem of data dumps?
Those changes will get transacted through your change management process.
Okay, who is monitoring that?
It will get tested through the IDD. So if there is a change, CAB, change management board, right? So all of these changes will get prioritized. Emergency, high, medium, low. You will have a defined process to take those changes. So we can go back and look at the tickets from an audit perspective to determine the risk rating of the change, the quality of the change, the UAT being done internally or externally. If it is SaaS, then it's all external. So you have
Yeah, if it is SaaS, then again you have to wait for the whole system, wait for the board to come together and do it. And how long are we going to be waiting? And how much do you know your... So are you saying you have a complete control over that? You are monitoring the whole thing?
we can only do a post-mortem, like you said. So we will only pick the changes, go back and see what process has been followed. But as a live auditing, then that is something that, when, from a change perspective, I don't know what live auditing that we can do from an implementation or development or migration standpoint. We will have the SODs implemented across the changes. On-prem, GitHub, we can still track the changes. I don't know who is migrating, who is deploying it. But to your point, including AI tools into the inventory is something that's still open because just organizations are just setting up AI concept to inventorize it, and then develop a governance framework.
Yeah, we can. We can. We have to, yeah.
But then
postmortem because once the change happens.
Why should we be
No,
postmortem?
I'm just giving a perspective. It usually is postmortem. But there is another function, second line, right, where you can have a continuous change monitoring. Once the change is done, a trigger kind of, sets alerts and it's kind of followed up. So we can have that kind of system as well, like a level 5 maturity kind of system where we have continual monitoring on the systems. So those things also should be able to
Point out, yeah.
point this out pretty much real time.
Yeah.
Just a changes happen.
Okay. Now this is clearly a deterministic situation that you're talking about, where you know about the model. But how much of AI has been already implemented in your systems? Yeah. Each organization is stalling it, but it's a matter of time. How long are we going to stall it? We are working with one GCC now. They are very slow in the whole thing, but then the competitor catches up, and suddenly the CTO will say, pass it, pass it, pass it. We have to clear. Right? Competition catches up, we'll have to catch up. So, and then when do we come into the picture? Pretty late. And then somebody said rightly, when something goes wrong, call the auditors who will do a very good post-mortem. Right? I think it's high time we just began. We began with the governance. What is the governance framework? That's why I said start with, see, we can talk fancy stuff. This is the governance model. This is how the whole thing has to be in control. This is the control systems. This is the risk control matrix I have to bring in. All that we can talk. But can we begin? Simple. Is there an inventory? That's why I said let's get practical. That's how I started for my organization. Where do I belong? Where do I start? Who's doing AI? And our organization is GenAI. Everywhere this is AI. Each one has their own bots. Each one has their own agents. How do I know? And they're going and giving it to the client without, I don't expect them to come and get my approval every time. Impossible. And that too, we are a small consulting firm. And many of you in the manufacturing, I can't expect that kind of, you would having control there. So I began with, I want an inventory, people. Without an inventory, I'm not going in for 42001. Give me the who all is using where. I want to know. What are the agents each one of you have built? Tell me. Very small agents, but never mind. These agents that we built, I'll tell you one organization, one multinational bank we've been working with, they have macros. Hey, how many macros, my God? It's a bane of the CTO. He said, I don't know, people have been building macros over a period of time for so many functions. I don't know which macro does what. Forget AI. You tell me, do you have an inventory of macros, what it does? Is it today reliable? Should I continue using it? Should I jettison it? Who's monitoring all this? Somebody 5 years back created a very good at Excel writing macros. But is it relevant today? Can I depend on it? Let's start simple. Let's start where we can before we go into this high funda stuff. It's very nice to talk all this. Yes, sir, you have something to say.
You're absolutely right, but it should not be a doomsday scenario.
Definitely not a doomsday. I'm just waking you all up from lunch actually.
For instance, the previous slide itself that was there, right?
Yeah.
Again, this is a perfect example, right? So this slide was created by Google's Notebook LM.
Yeah, content is from me, yes.
Yes. Again, which is an AI, right? But what you were able to do, you were able to generate the content, generate this wonderful, picture with AI, and you were able to review it, right? Which is the right process. Which means as long as the process is right and implemented, AI should function as a everyday functions or everyday task we do right now.
I'm glad you brought it up. What's your name?
Sushil.
Sushil, I was waiting and hoping that somebody will bring this up. You know the control I didn't have here? I couldn't make the changes. I purposely brought this with, it had a few errors, if any of you noticed this. There are a little bit of errors here and there. I completely took my report, I reviewed it to multiple models, I gave it to Notebook LM and said, come on, create it. And I was going to go back and make the change. Then I said, no, this is internal audit people. Let me bring in the entire presentation with its flaws and show to you guys where I'm not in control. As simple as this. I'm not in control. I tried to make the change, it's not listening to me. So I just said, okay, let me bring the not a very good version and show to people and let's say. This is a clear example. You very rightly said I'm using AI. The limitation is I'm not able to ask it to do what I really want to do it. I have to go through multiple iterations to get the changes done. So then do we not use AI? Definitely not doomsday. The wonder it does for you It's brilliant. All of you in GRC. I am able to get my 27,001. By the way, if I started with a doomsday prophecy today, let me tell you, my 27,001 certification was done in no time. All the policies, fatafat. But context, that will be a topic for another day. I have to be very, very clear with my context. Once I do that, I have all my policies in place. Now when I am working on my 42,001, I am able to get it done. I am building agents which will generate based on the situation policies for me. I don't need a human being to write policies for me. If I want to generate forms, it will do it for me. I wish we could have a session when let's get practical wherever the organizers or the office bearers of internal auditors of association is here. I'm willing to do a session where we can use AI for internal audit, certification, anything for drafting contracts. Gets done so quickly. But internal audit is a completely different cup of tea. Completely. Forget statutory audit. They are clearly post-mortem experts. But we in internal audit, so unfortunately or fortunately, this is more of a wake-up call. We have to be aware. The thing is, we can catch up people. If at all I created a churn in everybody's stomach and then said, oh my God, what is she talking about? There is time. Because our organizations have not started implementing. Everybody is thinking and reviewing. Can I bring in AI? There are family businesses which are still reviewing AI. They're still not confident of investing in startups which are completely AI. Yesterday, Claude brought something in and 2 startups closed. So who's going to invest in a startup? So things are happening. So most of the people are still waiting and watching. When it comes to audit, we will have to be careful, but we are ahead. We have the time. When I say at least now we are aware. It's a good topic. It's a good time of the year and time when we have to become aware. Start small. Like I said, start with an inventory, please. And where can I use AI for my internal audit work, for my governance frameworks? Where can I use it? What all can I do? So that familiarizes you with what you can do with AI. Once you get familiar, you will be able to ask the right questions. Then it shifts, this thing moves to the risk and not the algorithm. This is what I wanted to bring in. This is exactly what I wanted to bring in into this slide, Sushil. This is more a patchwork I did. Sitting here, no, this slide is not making the change for me. So I introduced one text and brought this in. As simple as this, it won't listen to me. The speed with which you gave me content, I'm not able to bring in the change. So we have, just to show to you the pros and cons. How many of you use AI in your work? GenAI. For what? Okay. Reporting, articulation. It creates reports for you. It writes the reports for you.
Kind of, gives, we can keep bullet point and common reporting structures and brainstorm.
Okay, reporting. What else are we using AI for?
Audit planning,
Audit planning,
risk control matrix.
risk control matrix. It's very good at giving you all that. What else do you use it for? Anybody else? Very good start. Very good start. Very good start. But I would tell you, we've barely scratched the surface. We've barely scratched the surface. What it cannot do, you ask me. Very little. What it can do?
Can it do field work? Meaning not the entire go to field and do it, but whether we are doing the system capture the evidence and put it in a just field work.
Why not? When you say field work, can you give me a specific example?
Let's say I'm doing the audit for a process, business process. So I have a description place. Go to this place and take the sample, go take the evidence and place it in the template. That kind of
It can. You know what it's not trained in? It's got computer vision. I'll just show you one agent which I have built. I know I'm digressing a bit because I know because it's internal audit, the intent definitely was not to scare you people. Okay? So let me show you. Retail and stock. This is something, oh, no internet connection. What happened? Bear with me for a minute, please. I got the network connection, now it's not working. I don't know why.
Normal one, right? That's what
No, yeah, I'm trying to tether now.
she's not created an agent, right? It's a some kind of a sort of customized service.
Ballroom.
Yeah, agent is debatable. Correct. That's what.
Okay, what I will do is I'll cancel this. My phone la vandachu.
Vandirucha.
I'll do it with my phone
Okay.
on one of the two. Okay, this is something which is a very simple agent I built. We talked about field work. Okay, what does this do? I'll just add an image of, this is retail stores. For example, you have the west side, similar, lifestyle, all those shops, they have goods in the shelves. I want to do an audit, and there are multiple branches in the city of Chennai itself. I will send 4 assistants to do a stock audit on day 1. They will go take images of the different shelves, upload it into this model, and then it immediately do the stock taking for me. This is one example of field work. Now to your question, how reliable is this going to be? That I will have to look at this. It's giving me a count of items on the shelf. Field work. Again, how much reliability do I have? I don't know. It depends on, we have ABC analysis of stock. We've done that wrong back. C alone, can I do this? Quickly I'll get this done. I've built this model in such a way that it does a complete analysis and gives it to you. See, I've classified it. It didn't do all this on its own. I told it very clearly. My instructions was, give me only if you are very clear. Row 1, this is my count. Row 2, it's given me the count. If there is, in the image is not clear, okay? Tell me very clearly, I don't know. I can't clearly give you the count. And give me the count of ambiguous, unclear goods. It gives me that also. See, it knows it's Ray-Ban because it's there in the label. So what is the big deal? I'll give you one example what I did. I hope that I have that picture readily available with me. It was handicraft items. It understood it was handicraft items. I don't have that. It will take time. It's not part of this session. So it said these are handcrafted wooden Buddha images. Because it's trained, the models already know that it's already trained on computer vision. It does the stock taking for me. So to your question on field work, how much reliance, we'll have to begin. Good, you're asking these questions. You just give it a screenshot and tell it, this is the process I'll have to follow. And it's already trained. Because you'll have to ask it which hat you wanted to wear at this point in time. Wear the hat of an internal auditor. That's why context is everything. Context engineering itself is a vast, wide topic. Today I can only touch the surface and talk to you about it. But there's multiple things that we can do. Where we can use GenAI for internal audit, where we can use AI for governance, where can I use, we talked about data, right? How do I extract data from a PDF and make that document as an intelligent document? I'm working on that with one of our clients, GCC. So this is very important, not just when the models are being built. Somebody talked about bias. Sushil, I think you referred to bias, or he referred to bias. One of you spoke about bias, right? There has to be fairness. The opposite of bias is fairness. So how do we know the model is fair? It's free of bias. We've seen multiple, I think all of you would have heard of one particular recruitment model which Amazon had created. How many people do you think in a day Amazon was recruiting? Now it's asking people to leave, but at one point in time, across the globe, how many people do you think Amazon would recruit? Hundreds? Thousands? Across the globe. So why not automate the whole process? Why not bring in a model which handles the entire recruitment? A model was built. And what did this model do? It will receive all the resumes, review all the resumes, up to sending up the invites, reviewing the candidates. It's a very nicely built model with thousands and thousands of data. And then what happened? They had to scrap it. Big hullabaloo. What happened? Do you know?
The data had hate, the data had bias.
What bias?
The bias towards a certain racial sort of, the data itself had racial bias, whereby it preferred a certain race for hiring.
Yeah, it had a bias towards gender bias. It had complete gender bias. Why? The model was trained on past data. So it was rejecting all female candidates. Why? Amazon hates women or what? The historical data that Amazon was relying on was completely male resumes. Because if you look at the past history, for as simple as to show you bias, ask in your phone or in your laptop, if you have access, ask it to generate an image of an internal auditor. Right away can you all test? Internal auditor. Ask any model. Nano Banana you can ask. You can ask Nano Banana in Gemini. Go to ChatGPT and ask.
Just to add on to the bias part, right? So far I have not come across any AI any job or need of using writing with prefer left hand. So even if you talk with left hand, it always picks up the right hand.
Right hand, absolutely. That's again, the model is not aware. The model is not aware. So if you ask for an image of a doctor working in India, whom do you think you will get? Male. Teacher in school working in India. Bias. All humans have a bias, right? The same bias creeps into the model.
But it is something that has got to do with the training data or
Past data, historical data. Humans that we are all biased. So what data it has, it will automatically come with those biases. Recruitment build. Okay. I have a model, I build a model, and I'm training the model. I'm training a model to look at all these resumes and pick the people for interview. Correct? So the characteristics of all the resumes of the male model, male candidates, had certain very specific features, which the female candidates' resumes was missing. For example, let's look at hobbies. Example I'm saying. You take a female candidate's resume and a male candidate's resume. Hobbies, let's say one is sports. The woman will have something else. The male would probably have, and past data was more on sports and physical activity. The woman would have had something else. And the college, the male goes to this kind of a college, female is going to some other college. So the resume of the female did not match all these parameters of this model. Rejected. It's happening, and also we've seen how all that is there. But how sure are you that it's not biased? How reliable is it? How do you know one particular candidate has not been picked up? And one person did a very nice thing about the ATS, right? What did he do? He saw that every ATS was rejecting him. So before he tested, very smart guy, not at all educated. Very smart. He's worked more on the factory side. Brilliant. His brilliance is too good. You know what he did? Every ATS is rejecting me. What shall I do? He thought about it. We know the keywords which an ATS will pick up. If the resume, we know the keywords. All of us now, ask ChatGPT to give it a job description. Now, tailor my resume to this job description. It will give you a beautiful work. It will give you fantastic output. So this man, he said, okay, he had his regular resume. And then he knew the keywords which this ATS would be looking, which will be tracking, the tracking system, what it's looking for. He added it his resume. He made it in white color. The text was completely white. Human will not read it. I give you a printout or I give you a digital version of my resume. And the keywords, which is not part of my resume, but the system is looking for, I added one para, completely in white color. White print. Font was completely white. When I read it as a human being, I don't read that font. But the ATS will, the system will catch. Finally, so he kept getting interview calls. But you will, at one point when a human being is there to interview you, you will get caught. So he said, finally one lady caught me, HR lady caught me, he said. He was just testing the system. So he said, your resume, when I look at your resume, I don't even know how you came up to this stage of the interview. You should not even come here. How did you come? So he had to reveal the truth. Look at my text, it's all white here. That's how I came up to this stage.
But still the tool is useful in screening the resumes at the initial stage, right? So whether the technical skills are really aligned with my requirement or not. At least at that stage, I think the passing is still bad. But when it comes to the discussions, then the subjective evaluation creeps in. So I think that is where you're pointing out that could be an intentional bias. Or, yeah, that could be right there. The bias can creep into.
No, this is an example I'm giving you. And also I gave you an example of underwriting, I told you, right? What happened was one particular, and banks completely, certain economic strata of people, it automatically rejects those applications. Are you trying to say a person who's trying to open a shop in one particular remote area of India will not repay his loans? That's a bias. The models are built that way. This Amazon is a very famous example of bias that brought it up. So now, henceforth, don't even build models. No, become aware and build those models. That's all. Tesla's car, I'll give you one more example. Tesla's car was test driven here in India. What do you think it would Tesla would not have thought of? Brilliant. Who was that? Jaywalkers. Who said autos? Brilliant. Tesla did not think of autos because you don't have an auto in the US. And you will not have jaywalkers. You will not have cows running down the road. I mean, walking slowly down the road. You will not have dogs cutting across. And you will not have a two-wheeler coming in the opposite direction in the US. So Tesla's model, you have to reject it immediately in India. But there is a startup in India which is working. On self-driven cars in India, in Jaipur city, it's test driving it. There is one cow in one corner, there is one two-wheeler coming from somewhere, there is one monkey jumping from somewhere. And the model is working to a certain extent.
GenAI's latest model is being used to develop training simulations for autonomous driving, right?
Driving licenses. No, we are evolving. The model is evolving. But let's wake up. The whole intent today is just to wake us up. Over the days when autonomous, machine-driven, clearly rule-driven models are there. AI has a mind of its own. Trust me on that. Today it will say something. Tomorrow it will say something. The models are also evolving. How can a 5.2 model, reasoning model tell you, walk to the car park, to the car wash? Amazing, right? So that is evolving. Let's also wake up. It's just a wake-up call for us. Let us get proactive. My only intent is, as internal auditors, we have to get proactive. We have to be there when the whole thing is starting, not come in when everything is done. Post-mortem is too late. Because AI will do. We don't need internal auditors. AI can take care of it. I know I've crossed my time. What I will now do is, so I just want to talk about fairness. If the model has to be accountable, transparent, explainability. Otherwise, it still becomes invisible box. If I don't see any of this, I'm not going to model. This model is not going to be audited by me. Okay? So governance across the AI life cycle becomes very important. We have to review from here. From the design stage, we have to be there in the picture. And all of you know GDPR and all that, you know where we can't come in pretty late and say this is not there. We have to start at the very beginning. Human in the loop, very important. Till date, human in the loop is relevant. It has been proven that you cannot completely sideline. If it's low risk, I give it to the model completely. Otherwise, there has to be a human in the loop. So how do I bring in clarity to invisible work? So I have the governance life cycle, and on top of that I bring in the FATEP. What is F? Fairness, accountability, transparency, thanks to DPDP, privacy. This has to be embedded in our governance framework. Okay? We are happy to connect with all of you. You can take the QR code. And by the way, yes, anybody wants to connect, I'm happy to connect. And we can do a session on where I can use the GenAI for internal controls and documentation. Yeah? And one last survey. This is for you. This whole session is about you, about what we can do. What is the one thing I can take the QR code, see if it works for you. Are you able to get the QR code? Just take a survey. You don't have, this is anonymous. I strictly adhere to DPDP. This is just for you to make a self-assessment. I am not taking any data. This is very anonymous. Where am I in my organization? Where can I begin tomorrow when I go back to office, Monday? Where do I begin? Where do I begin? Let's begin with awareness. Yeah? Thank you so much. Despite it being a post-lunch, many of you are asking questions. I think I kind of shook you up, and that was the intent. I'm sorry, but that was the intent. Thank you so much. Let's be in touch. Thank you.
I think that was an amazing session. So as she rightly mentioned, post-lunch, I can see all of you very attentively listening to her and asking questions. And the session was very practical. Though I stepped in a little late, the entire session was based on use cases and examples. Thank you very much, ma'am, for having taken this presentation. I request Satyananda Professor to hand over a small pointer to Aparna Rao.
Do you want to see this QR code? Have you taken it up?
Can you put it up also?
You want it again?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
take this.